Hey everyone, hopefully the wind's not too bad. I'm going to try to talk loud enough, but of course I don't have one of those nice mics. I'm just using my phone, but I really wanted to take some video here. This is one of the reasons why it's been a while since I did a video, guys. It's really hard to want to work whenever you can go see places like this. This is the Garden of the Gods back behind me. This overlook that I'm at is about 10 minutes from where we're staying, and the actual Garden of the Gods park is literally like 5 minutes drive. I could probably walk there in 15 minutes tops. Tons of trails and hiking. You can see back here behind me, it's kind of cloud covered. That's actually Pikes Peak, and this is part of the Front Range of the Rockies right back behind me too. Awesome place, guys. This is the first place we've been to since we left Arkansas. We've been kind of a little bit on vacation mode. I've been getting some work done, to keep the store up and stuff, but really it's just been kind of hard to work. Especially this being our first big adventure place that we haven't been to yet. But it's been great so far. There's been some rough patches, but for the most part, it's just been a really fun time. So the video that I want to make this week is talking about where I look to source when I go to a new place. Had a couple different places under my belt now. We stayed at probably 4 or 5 different locations. A couple in Arkansas here, in San Antonio before we left. So this is kind of what I've been doing so far, and it hasn't changed yet. So we're just going to kind of go over what you may want to look into whenever you start traveling and how you're going to think about sourcing. So to start off, I am very garage sale centric with my selling. I've always been that way. I love garage sales the most because they give you the highest return on investment. You get some really good stuff. Thrift stores, they do a lot of picking out of good inventory, especially Goodwill. So I try to think of garage sales as my priority. A lot of people I know on YouTube especially, they do a lot of thrift store sourcing, and I'm working that in now. But whenever possible, I'm doing garage sales first. So when we get to a new place, first thing I do is I change over my store ship from address to the new place that we're going to be at, as long as they accept packages. I keep the return address with a family member right now, so if I ever do feel the need to get a return sent, it goes there, because we're going to be there at least once or twice a year. But always update your ship from address, because that's what's eBay's going to use to calculate the shipping costs for whatever package you send. And if you drop off a package somewhere that says you're at this one address and you're actually 500 miles away, you may get dinged. Something may happen there. They may send the package back. They may bill you differently. I don't know, and I'm not going to let that happen. So just update your address. That's the first thing you want to do. Second thing you can do, and you can even start this before you leave the old place you're at, is I start checking the garage sale apps I have. Everybody uses different ones. Garage Sale Finder, GALR. I forget what the acronym or what that stands for, but that's the .com. You can go to statesale.net if you're looking at estate sales, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace. It's a little bit harder to search because the search function is not that great, but I start looking to see what kind of garage sales are going to be hitting that weekend. That's if I'm traveling, around Wednesday or Thursday. I'll normally start looking on Wednesday because there may be some early sales that start on Thursday or Friday, and they're going to put those up a little earlier. But by Wednesday is when I'm really starting to look into that stuff. And then I kind of try to build a little bit of a map in my head as I'm going through the week. I build up those, I bookmark those particular garage sales to kind of give me my anchor points on a map of where I'm going to be going that weekend. And it just depends on where you're at. Some people use different websites or apps. Like I noticed when I was in San Antonio, of course, it was a pretty good mix. There was, you could find stuff on Facebook. Facebook's probably the most dominant one. There was some on Craigslist. The garage sale apps would bring up some stuff. But I noticed when I was in Arkansas, in Northwest Arkansas, both in Fayetteville and further north in Bella Vista, not a whole lot was coming up on Craigslist at all. Not a whole lot on estatesales.net. It was pretty bone dry. Like some stuff was coming up on Facebook, but even there it wasn't doing very much. So I don't know if there's some local apps that I just wasn't plugged into or whatever. And that type of, if you're going to be somewhere long enough, it might be good to do some research, maybe talk to some locals. Even if a thrift store, if you find somebody that they have their reseller, look, maybe talk to them like, hey, is there like local websites that people use? Because that place, it was hit or miss. Like I was really just having to go out and find garage sales, and that's something else I'm going to talk about too later. If you don't have a lot of info on where the garage sales are at. I noticed when I came to Colorado, though, Craigslist evidently is really popular in the area I'm at, because I've never seen so many sales posted on Craigslist. I did not see as many posted on Facebook, but Craigslist, I was like, oh my God, especially like a Friday. They had a ton of sales on Friday, and there's normally not that many sales like in San Antonio, Bella Vista, Bentonville. So I saw quite a few sales on Friday. Also Saturday too. I noticed there's some activity on estatesales.net, which I don't do a lot of estate sales, but sometimes I'll go to those if I really feel like it, and I'm just not having a whole lot of luck. So yeah, find your garage sales. If you cannot find any garage sales online enough to kind of give you a day of it, what I do is I use a couple of garage sales I do find as anchor points. I find the closest ones to me, of course, and then you're kind of drawing a line, to them. It could be 20 minutes away from you for your next one, and that's fine, because what you're going to do is, if you don't have a lot of garage sales, you're going to pull up your Google Maps or whatever Apple product you guys use, I don't know, or if you can use Google there. I just know about using Google. But you're going to pull up your map, and normally it's on default, okay? You want to switch it to terrain. Okay, which is the satellite view. It's normally like 3 layered squares, like in the very top right. You click that and you can pick your view. You want to do satellite view. Okay, when you switch that over, you can see all the housing divisions that are going to be in that area. Okay, and that gives you an idea of where the arterial streets are at, the ones that are most likely to have the garage sale signs. So you want to look for those, because you can kind of tell just by looking from that satellite view, where the subdivisions are, where's the interior streets of the subdivision, and where the arterial streets are. You want to try to hit arterial streets to where you've got, subdivisions on all sides of you. So it may not be the quickest way to get from point A to point B if you're going from sale to sale, but that lets you pick up all those extra sales that might be in between that don't have a listing up, or maybe you didn't catch it somehow. You can pick up those signs. So that's what I do. I'm okay with bouncing around all over a city to find garage sales if there's, if I don't have a lot that I know I'm going to, because I've got the addresses for it. That's what I'll do. And it works quite a bit. I found, some great sales doing that. I've also had really crappy days to where I didn't find anything. So it's going to be hit or miss, just like anything in our business. Sourcing is always going to be hit or miss. It's starting to pick up. Hopefully it's not going to be too bad on the camera, because I really wanted to film here because it's so fucking awesome. Okay, so after that, garage sales, look for arterial streets, just kind of work your way through the areas that you're at. I would suggest even just looking at a satellite view before you even start figuring out what garage sales you're at. Kind of see where the population centers are at in the area that you're going to be in, because that's going to be where your sales are going to be, right? So just kind of look around in there. Find out what sites work for that area, okay? Start checking every site that you can think of: Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, your garage sale apps, estatesales.net, just to kind of build a picture of what that area is like. What I will tell you though is, on Facebook Marketplace especially, if you see garage sales, I always click down to the user to look at the user that posted that garage sale, and I see how many reviews they have. If they've got like 10 or more feedback reviews on their Facebook Marketplace, that's quite a few sales that they've made through Facebook Marketplace, and that kind of automatically dings me that they're a reseller and they're trying to get rid of excess inventory, their stuff doesn't sell. I will normally bypass those, because I found that it's a bunch of crap for the most part. They're getting rid of it because they couldn't sell it, okay? If you got like 10 feedback on Facebook Marketplace, that probably means you did 100, at least 100 transactions, because I found on Facebook Marketplace, people are even less likely to leave you feedback unless you hound them about it. So if they've got 10 feedback, they've made quite a few transactions. So I would stay clear. That's just me personally. You guys may decide, hey, you might find something. So if that works for you, go ahead and do it. After I get the garage sale stuff set up, depending on how I've sourced that week, because my business right now, I want to list 10 items per week with at least a 70% sell-through rate. If I can't find things with at least a 70% sell-through rate, I will list less, and I will just try to get ones that are more higher dollar, okay? But for my business model to work, I try to list 10 per day, have the 1-to-1 sell-through rate, which means for every one I list, I sell one per day, and I normally average that over a week. And then I need to maintain a net of $166 profit per day. Okay, that gives me about $5,000 in net profit pre-tax by the end of the month. That's the minimum I need to maintain. And with the way I've been doing it, I've been able to do that even through the summer. This May was great. June is, I'm probably going to hit right at that point. And if I can do that during the summer months when it's slowest, I'm going to make bank, at the end of the year, as long as I can find good inventory. So just remember, it's all about the sell-through rate, okay? You decide what you want to list per day, but that's not your, that's not your common denominator for how you need to run your business. Sell-through rate is always king. Do not pick up 10% sell-through rate items just to fill out your 10 item quota. If you decide to move up to 15 items per day, make sure that you have enough inventory or you can source enough inventory locally to get up there to 15 per day and have quality stuff listed, okay? So back to what we were saying. If I've already got 3 or 4 weeks of inventory, I won't worry about trying to thrift through the week. Especially the next weekend, if I have a really good garage sale weekend, if I make 60 or 70 items, I won't worry about thrifting the next week because, again, I'm space constrained. I can't do much if I don't have space. So it's great to have a ton of extra weeks of inventory, but it gets to a point to where it's just too much stuff, even if you're not living in an RV. You get too big of a death pile. You start wanting to cherry pick stuff. You have lower value stuff just kind of sitting around. And I do a first in, first out too. Whatever's the last thing, or the first thing that's next in line, that's what I'm listing. If it's crap stuff for the week or stuff I'm really not interested in, I'm still listing it because that was the stuff I got that week. And then the next week I get the second oldest stuff, and then the third oldest stuff after that, until I get to new stuff, and then I'm constantly changing it. So if I'm able to get my stuff garage selling, I don't worry about thrifting. That's awesome because it gives me more time during the week to do stuff I want to do with my family. That's one of the reasons I haven't done videos, is because there's just been too much to do. Getting to do this with your family is just the awesomest part about this. I mean, at eBay, selling for a living and getting to do it different places is cool, but just getting to go out to places like this and hike around and see the look on your kids' face when they see all this cool stuff. I was going to do a video last night, but instead I decided to take my son down to the pool we were going to stay for like 30 minutes, and we ended up staying there for an hour and a half because he found some kids to play with, and had a fun time. I'm always going to prioritize my family and my life before I do YouTube, and I hope that's okay. I know some people want you to be consistent and do videos every week. I'm going to try to do that, but life's going to get in the way, guys, and I'm going to do life first. But anyways, I keep going off tangent. So if I do have to thrift that week, basically when I'm planning places, I already told you guys in a previous video, when we're planning places to stay for as a home base for a week or two, I'm looking to see how many thrift stores there are, because that may be the only thing I'm able to find. If there's not a whole lot of garage sales, I've got to use thrift stores. So that's when I start finding out what kind of thrift stores are in the area. A lot of times you're going to find Goodwills. That's pretty much everywhere. You may find Savers, you may find DI, which is Deseret Industries. You may find ARC, which is one up here in Colorado. Do your research, figure out what stores are best. I found out pretty early on that the ARC stores were pretty crappy around here, and pretty much are all along the Front Range. Just really bad inventory, kind of crappy stores. You guys may think differently, but for me personally, when I've looked stuff up on them and when I've talked to a couple of resellers in this area that I met in some of the Goodwills or at garage sales, they've said the same thing. That's number 3. Find out the good places to go. A lot of resellers, you kind of know each other. You kind of spot each other pretty quick. Talk to them. Kind of let them know, like, hey, I'm just kind of traveling through the area. Let them know you're not kind of trying to move it on the turf or anything. Like, hey, can you give me some tips on what's the good stuff? Good places to look around here. Most people are going to be really nice about it. Most resellers are not, don't take my stuff. They're really cool about it. They're courteous, and they're doing the same thing. They have the same problems, the same highs and lows as you, and for the most part, they're going to be good people. Okay, so just talk to them. They're probably going to think it's really cool what you're doing. That's what happened with me, and I was able to get some good information. They kind of reiterated with me that the ARCs weren't ones that I wanted to deal with. They told me of a couple other thrift stores that I was meaning to hit that I didn't, because of what they said. One I did end up going into because I'm like, well, let me just see, because it might have been a bad day that they went, or because some people will go to a store a couple times, and then if it's bad, they'll just stop going. But it was exactly what they said. I did notice that the Goodwills up here smell so much better, and they are pretty nice. We went up to this one that's in Woodlawn Park. It was freaking bougie. I thought I was in like one of them high-end Targets or something. I don't know. But it was pretty cool, and it didn't smell like a normal Goodwill. But I didn't really find a whole lot. I would suggest, honestly, just this is me personally, if you have a bins location and you need to source outside garage sales, if you're in an area that's got a bins, go to the bins first, see what the bins is like, get an idea. This area does have a bins, and I was able to go to there one day, and I kind of picked the ears off the people that were in line while we were waiting for open. I went first thing. So I was able to kind of get an idea of what the bins was like there, and it made me realize that I wasn't really interested in going to the bins here either. A lot of clothing, not really good hard goods. I got 10 items in a day, which is basically what I source to list per day is 10 items. But I don't know, just something about it just hit me off. People were awesome, but just they had good rotations. The stuff wasn't there. I'm not a clothing seller, and they have just a lot of clothing and stuff. I'm used to the bins in San Antonio, which has a much smaller amount of clothes, more hard goods, toys, stuff like that. So those are going to be different. Everything's going to be different where you guys are at. That's the thing to remember the most is you can't go with preconceptions from other areas because it's going to be completely different. You're just going to have to work around that. And that's something I'm still working on too, is like realizing like, okay, well, if this is all clothes and that's all I can find, well, I'm going to have to learn a bit about clothes and start selling some clothes, because you got to keep your business running. And as long as that's going to have my sell-through rate that I require, I'm going to pick it up. So I went to the bins once. Not bad, not great. Thrift stores have not been great. I did find some good items, but I wasn't finding enough per day, going to about 4 or 5. The 2 days that I did do it, that it was worth it. So I went, I was trying to do garage selling more, and I've actually had a decent amount of luck here in Colorado Springs. And that's another video I'm going to do here probably next week, is to go over kind of the sourcing that I've been doing in Arkansas and Colorado, to kind of give you an idea how it's been so far. This video is mainly about where you can find stuff, where you want to start checking whenever you are in a new area. So those are the ways that I'm doing it. Maybe you guys have some other thoughts or ideas, or you have questions about stuff, please let me know, because if you guys can think of another way to do this, to add to the repertoire of places I can find stuff to source at while I'm moving to new places, please let me know, because you guys are going to help me out as well as helping yourself out, because you're getting knowledge from me and I'm getting knowledge from you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off now. This one's starting to get kind of long. I will try to make sure I've got a video up next week. We're going to be traveling this next weekend. We're going further north, but I'm going to try to make sure I've got the time to make a second video. But for right now, guys, this is where we're at right now. Y'all have a good one, and I'll talk to you later.